Am I back? Is everything good? Okay, reconnection successful. I got kicked off for a second. Hopefully that wasn't too big an interruption. But yeah, the Fae apparently get involved, and so I didn't feel terrible using Fae creatures like hags and whatnot. And one of the stat blocks for it is for the hag creature with her cauldron. And they found really cool 5th edition appropriate ways to make that battle feel like the Darkest Dungeon battle. So, hopefully you guys are still there. Everyone's still there? Alright, who's alive? Sound off. I lost connection with OBS Studio, and then I got it back. Okay, fantastic. No clue how or why that happened. But yeah, if you're a fan of D&D and you play 5th edition D&D with friends, I strongly suggest you find the Darkest Dungeon Monster Compendium online, because it does a phenomenal job of not only tiering the monsters so that like some of the earlier ones feel better and feel stronger in late game, but it's very creative with how it takes some of the mechanics from Darkest Dungeon and fits it into a 5th edition mindset. I'm gonna have to go back and re-hit that. I'm so enamored with the fact that you can see the studs and the shoulder pad poking through. Like, I might have mentioned it before, but this model didn't exactly set my world on fire when I first saw him. But the more I approach this model and the more I see of him, the more I really like him. Just because of little details like that. Okay, let's see. What can I do here? And yeah, this cloak just requires a whole lot of wet blending and a whole lot of glazing, because I think that's basically what I do. Whether I realize it or not, I'm basically just glazing thinner, brighter layers of red on it as I'm working my way up. Okay, let's see. But at the same time, I'll be honest with you, I'm really just making this up as I'm going along. I'm grabbing colors and whatnot that look like they might be good. And the Kingmaker, I see a monster book for 5th edition. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. Yeah, I think someone worked on converting Kingmaker to 5th edition, and I haven't used it. I acquired the original Kingmaker source book a while ago before I found out about the 5th edition conversion. And I've just kind of been using that and then modifying it. And we've gotten to a point in the game where my characters have like moved so far away from the original Kingmaker that I'm no longer bothering with it. Like, I'm looking at what's supposed to happen in each major chapter, but they've basically gone so far off the beaten path that I can't really use the original source book anymore. But it is a pretty cool story. It is a pretty neat thing with some good ideas. And there's a lot of freedom, which is something I feel like 5th edition really lacks with their adventure modules, because they're on pretty tight schedules to get things done, and so deviating from them does not feel good, you know what I mean? And generally when you do deviate, it doesn't give you a whole lot of instruction on what to do if the players get squirrely. I feel like the Kingmaker source book did a great job of being like, hey, the players might want to do this, and if they do, here's what they're going to find. It's going to be a problem. They're going to have to deal with this thing. But how that thing comes up is completely up to DM discretion. But the game is very much predicated on like old school D&D mechanics and whatnot, so it's less about telling a comparative narrative or a compelling narrative like 5th edition has kind of moved into because of things like Critical Role, and more about enjoying the mechanics of D&D, which to a lot of players today would probably seem tedious and outdated, like rolling for exploration and random encounters out in the territories. Is definitely an old school way to do things, but for a lot of people, you just wouldn't. Like, you would just gloss it over, or you might have 1 or 2 random encounters, but they've got the map on like full hexes. And so every time you go through a hex, you have to do a roll and this, that, and the other. So that's kind of how Kingmaker worked. And a lot of it I just kind of glossed over. The one thing I did keep was the idea of having to track supplies, because especially at the beginning, because they were explorers in uncharted land, and so having access to rations was important. And then one of them got Goodberry almost immediately, and basically made that point moot. So your mileage will definitely vary, because, especially in my case, I mashed two systems together that were mildly compatible. Yeah, I guess technically I am glazing here, because I'm just using a very watered down red to kind of meld all this together. And hopefully it'll turn out okay. Okay. A bit more red in there. At this point, it would probably make a lot more sense for me to just use a sepia wash to really bring all this stuff together, instead of trying to fight it by using just a red, thin down red paint. You know, you do what you do. And I will admit, this is one of my big problems with painting cloaks. I've gotten pretty good at it, but I definitely don't know what I'm doing, so I basically just finagle over it until I'm happy. Welcome back! I need more red. My goodness, it's already 10:15. My goal was to try and get this guy done before I went back upstairs today, but I don't think that's happening. I barely know what I'm doing with this cloak, so I'm just gonna have to keep futzing with it until something good comes out of it, I guess. Which is funny, because at this point I've made pretty consistently good-looking cloaks, but I always forget how I did it. Because I just kind of enter a weird zen state where my eyes go wall-eyed, and then I stop paying attention, and by the time I'm done, it looks good. Crap, so it works out. I know, right? Unfortunately for me, I was raised to be very methodical and to have set instructions and need set instructions. So the idea of fuck around and find out is very foreign to me for the most part. But that's a huge part of artistic creation, I believe. I think. And so I've tried to be better about it. Just be like, hey, I wonder if this will work. And what's kind of helped with the mini painting is that if I don't like it, I can just paint over it, you know? So having that mindset has really helped with my willingness to experiment. And my hope is that that's kind of the same for a lot of people, is that they're initially worried about screwing up and being like, oh no, then I've got to redo it. And it's like, trust me, man, the redoing it part is so minor, and is so minor an issue. And you learn so much by having to go back over it and figure out what went wrong and how to try again, that it's really worth just absolutely beefing it the first few times. Speaking of beefing it, I was mentioning earlier that my wife got me into watching Spike from Iron Circus Comics, and she's been streaming more recently, and she streamed a game called RimWorld, and it got me kind of obsessed with playing RimWorld. So that is what I'm doing in my free time when I'm not doing this. Have any of you guys heard of RimWorld? Because it was one of those things that I knew existed, but I never bothered to get into. And I'm a little sad that I didn't, because the game is absolutely hilarious. Everything kind of you're basically survivors on an alien planet that's already inhabited too. It's got other tribes, it's got other groups that live there, but your job is to try and eke out an existence there, and figure out how you're going to live and whatnot. And they have needs and wants, and the crewmates that you have, which is usually between 1 to 5, and you can get more. They'll kind of prioritize what they want, and you can kind of guide them. But it leads to some hilarious moments, because they also have like random seeds and whatnot. So Spike was playing, and she had a Saurid, a lizard hybrid woman, who crash landed on the planet. I think she escaped from some slavers with her 4 kids, and all 4 kids were still in egg phase, because Saurid human hybrids lay eggs when they give birth, right? And so Spike was trying to explain how the game worked, because she's in love with the game, has been trying to get her friends to play it. And so she needed to immediately start like building up resources and making shelter and doing this, that, and the other. And one of the first things she found out was that the game had assigned her Saurid woman to be part of a religion that doesn't believe in cutting down plants because they're sentient and so they deserve dignity of life. And so she's freaking out because she realizes that building a house is going to be near impossible and building shelter is going to be near impossible, and you know, fires and whatnot. So eventually she gets something together. Yeah. That specific religion is very close to Old Elven religion, Old Elven culture. But yes, this lizard woman is refusing to make like the very baseline of survival materials. And so she's just trying to survive until the babies are like born so she can start feeding them real food. And as she's telling us about how the game is working, oh yeah, okay, I've never played Dwarf Fortress, though I feel like I really should because I feel like this game is kind of a take on Dwarf Fortress. But as she's like explaining us how the game is working, and she's kind of got a little hovel set up for the Saurian woman, without her really noticing until it's too late, she sees the Saurian woman grab one of the eggs and just eat the damn thing. And so we get to spend the next 15 minutes listening to Spike freak out because this horrible spoiled woman who won't cook and won't cut down trees and won't do a whole lot of things just ate one of her babies. And it's made even better because you can look at the general mood of different of your units and your different colonists and whatnot, or whatever you want to call them, your survivors. I know, right? And your survivors. And one of her negative mood modifiers is she felt bad for consuming another living or another human. Her playthrough, her disaster of a playthrough convinced me to get the game. Eventually, she got attacked by another like hostile tribesman, and and because she was such a weak thing that wouldn't fight and wouldn't kill, they just beat her near to death and then dragged her off. And so these three remaining babies, these three remaining babies are just left there to starve once they hatch, and they do hatch, and she's ready to quit the game, but her producer, her editor, and chat are like, no, watch it through. Let's see what happens, because this game is wild. And so we unfortunately sit there and we watch one of the babies expire because it starves to death. And before the other two can die, a random event occurs where a man in black shows up, which is something that can happen. A random stranger dressed in all black can show up and like save your village or whatever. And so he like just goes straight to the thing and saves the other two kids and starts raising them. And so she's back, she's kind of stabilized and everything's good, right? And it's like, cool, I can actually start explaining this game again. And then he goes a little bit mad because he sees the third baby corpse that starved to death, and it causes him to have a little bit of a break mentally, where he then stops doing anything. And while he stops doing anything, another tribesman raids, beats him near to death, and then takes him away. So, the babies are once again left to starve because they're not old enough to get up and do things on their own. And as that happens, like another person wanders by, some girl wanders by, and like joins the tribe, the original tribe, and starts rescuing these babies and like starts feeding them. And I think at this point there's only one left. The other one dies of starvation. And so she's like, oh, thank God, another person has come by to save the babies. And she clicks on the character and finds out the woman is really racist. Like, she doesn't have a character perk that says racist, but one of her comments is like, there's a whole bunch of these other species around here, and they don't belong here. So she takes care of the baby and she raises it, but she raises this baby to be self-hating. Because the baby grows up to be just as xenophobic as she is. Yeah, the game is an absolute trip. And part of it is because she had some mods installed to make the game a little easier and a little more streamlined in some ways. But I went ahead and downloaded the game myself, and the base game is just as wild. It has weird things happen. I was playing. You can't create your own character. They're randomized, right? And so I was playing with my group of three, and as I'm playing, as I'm building things up, there's a bunch of elephants on the field, and one of them just randomly self-tames. So like he decides I want to be domesticated now. So he starts making his way over to my little encampment, which also has I'm just now getting to the point where I can farm food. I've been scrounging off of berries for the first week of being in this game, and Seth Zinchak. What a cool name. I might have to look him up. I'm pretty sure, I know that Spike talks about a couple of other people that play these things. She's really big on promoting other content creators, which makes sense because she's a publisher. But I'll have to look that up because RimWorld was just too wild. But yeah, this darn creature just decides to self-domesticate. And I'm like, okay, cool, I guess we have an elephant now. And I don't remember, because there's so much thrown at you at the beginning, how to properly set zones for domesticated animals. So I build him a pen out back, and I try and set a zone. I do it improperly, and he just kind of wanders freely throughout the compound. And I'm just thinking, okay, this is fine, I suppose. And I'm scared to mess with him because none of my colonists have like good weapon skills. They're all pretty bad at it. The one who is good with it is good with melee weapons. And it's like, I'm not going to have a single colonist club an elephant to death because it's going to kill him first, right? And so I'm just kind of, if you want more insane, look at a mating cultivation simulator, which also is room. Oh my god, no, that's too much. I have a friend who would love that. Soft Servo loves that kind of deep dive stuff. That would absolutely destroy me. Now I'm cross-hatching with a brighter color to try and really hit the highlights and give more of a fabric feel. But I realize that I'm running low on food, and I don't know why, because I've been having my colonists, build up the food. And I look, and I find that the freaking elephant is, since he just kind of wandered onto my compound and is like, I'm your pet now, I didn't have time to make him food, so he's just running around eating all of my crops. And he's an elephant, so he's not only running around eating all my crops, but he's also leaving these giant piles of waste everywhere, which is obviously making people really upset. And again, I barely know what I'm doing. I downloaded the game because I watched Spike suffer through a 6-hour gameplay video with that stupid baby eater and her poor self-loathing children. So I finally decide, you know what, you're more trouble than you're worth. I'm going to go ahead and no, not the good compost. I barely know what I'm doing with the game. So it's just making everyone mad, and I fear that people are going to start getting sick because of how deep the game is. No, that's okay. I don't need to do the thing. I don't want to pin it. I want to delete it. It's not the new year. I don't want to self-promotion. I've got to figure out a way to prevent that from being a thing. There's definitely a setting somewhere. But I finally decide I'm going to risk it for the biscuit. I'm going to go ahead and slaughter this stupid elephant because he is eating all my food and pooping everywhere and just overall being a nuisance. And so yeah, that's what I ended up doing. And all I can think of is this game is wild. It seems to be specifically designed to create horrifying stories. Oh my goodness. Actually, what are the rules about... I guess if I show a stream from YouTube, what are the rules about that? Would I get content blocked? Would I get in trouble? I don't know the YouTube and the Twitch content stuff very well. Because I kind of want you guys to see this poor woman's reaction to her lizard mom character eating a lizard baby. It is very much worth it. Okay. I think this is gonna be fine. I'm really struggling here. Because this is such a big, broad area of the cloak. I'm not really sure how bright I want to go with it. Doing YouTube videos is fine? Oh, fantastic. Give me a minute, guys. You're about to see a woman have a conniption. But, like, the entire game is like that. It's just horrifying weird things after horrifying weird things. Let me see. Where did it go? Where did this poor woman go? I forgot. She named the stream RimWorld Test Stream, whereon baby is consumed. I feel like as long as it's not flat out just rebroadcasting, it should be fine. Well, I guess I'll find out. Right now, I have no, I have no strikes against me. I have nothing going. Okay, so will this work? No, that's not gonna work. RimWorld Test Stream, wherein baby is consumed. Here we go. I think I'm gonna have to... I don't know how to do these things. I'm gonna mute Epidemic Sound. No, that's not gonna work. I'm gonna turn off the music for a second. Turn desktop audio on. And let's hope this works.
Everyone, I need you all to fucking say, Amanda, you're amazing for making this gift tuber for me. Look how amazing I look. I am deaf. I am deaf.
Okay, so... I don't know. You're not even doing the Orgus harvesting yet. Oh, yeah, I found out you could extract skulls and whatnot. It was very silly. And you can pull organs out. She eventually does that. She eventually gets so frustrated and angry at things that she starts pulling organs from people. Here we go.
Okay, good. I'm a spooky, scary ghost.
Very scary.
Do you like my little Pac-Man ghost? Like, woo, my little dangles? You like my
What
dangles?
makes it a Pac-Man ghost? Just the spiky
Yeah,
tail?
the spiky bottoms. I look... Okay. Oh my god!
What is that?
This fucking whore just ate one of her babies!
Oh. Alright, I'm gonna go deafen myself. I wanna see the...
She fucking ate her baby! This bitch ate a baby!
Right, that's what happened to me when I tried this start, is she ate all her babies.
Oh my fucking... You ate your baby!
No, she ate her baby raw. She did not cook her baby. She
Oh
ate her baby
my fucking god, you ate your baby!
raw. She'll just eat her baby.
Why? How do you feel about that? You fucking bitch! How do you feel? Ate human egg. Yeah, you sure did! Killing one so young feels wrong. Yeah, didn't stop you. Didn't fucking stop you. Holy shit, she ate her baby.
She really is a lizard.
She ate her fucking baby. Could have heart attack. She ate her baby.
Okay, I'm back from witnessing, because
like,
thanks to the lag, I got to witness that in real time. So
Oh my fucking god. She ate her baby.
wow, you're still freaking out.
I'm sorry, it's incredibly funny. She fucking has this heart-wrenching story about having to protect her infants, and she was kicked off the ship, and she just straight up ate a fucking baby, and she didn't hesitate. Just ate her kid. Oh my
You have to
god.
set her babies to not allow.
Oh my god, I had to remind this stupid bitch not to eat her own children. Oh my god. Oh my god.
That's enough of that. Yeah, that can go away now. She really did. Oh man. RimWorld. RimWorld's a great game, guys. Download it. Okay. Oh, I want to make that my ringtone. Just her entire freak out. I just want to make that my ringtone. Oh my gosh, I can do that. I can extract that audio since she put it on the YouTube. I am finally going to I am finally going to replace my ringtone with that. Orson Welles has been my ringtone for many years now, and it's time for that to be replaced. Speaking of, have you guys heard of the French? It's an Orson Welles meme that has become one of my favorite things ever, to the point where my friend, my work colleague and I...
Oh, my son.
The French. Always celebrated for their excellence. I turned that...
has it.
Oh boy. Okay, so I'm gonna have to explain this because there's context, and the context is apparently misunderstood. Is that, Orson, you know who Orson Welles is, I hope. If not, I'll have to go even further back, because this feels like I'm explaining more Warhammer lore. But, Orson Welles, famous actor, did very amazing things. Late in his career, he started doing advertising for champagne and other things, and one of them was Paul Masson wine. And these were really well-known commercials, you know what I mean? And one of them, there is footage found where he seems just drunk off his ass. Does things with French people on it. It's a soundboard. That's amazing. And so he just seems to be completely wasted and completely unaware of what's going on. And as they try and call for action the second time, because the first time he's delirious, he tries to deliver the lines, but he does so in such a kind of incoherent, rambling way that it became infamous. And the exact line